I'm Robert Scoble, and Rocky and I travel the world for Rackspace looking for the coolest, hottest web technologies. And today we're going to talk to Cargo because they're pushing HTML into places it shouldn't go. Who are you?
My name is Folkert. I am an interaction designer from Holland originally, and I moved to the United States to work with Josh and some other people on some internet-based publishing projects. And we are interaction designers, so we like to build our own content publishing systems that also publish the work we do at the same time.
Who are you?
I'm Josh Pangel. I am a programmer mostly, have a video design background, and I've been working with Folkert Gorter here for a few years. We've started a few projects together, and currently Cargo is our baby.
Yeah. And so what is Cargo, just for setting the tone?
So Cargo is a web publishing system, in short, meant for creative professionals. And you could say it's a CMS as well as a system that provides website templates from that are starting points for designers to create their own website. And it's mainly used by people who have a lot of visual content to publish, like designers, photographers, architects, stuff like that. And it's transitioning more and more towards more textual as well. Like if you think about WordPress is mostly text oriented publishing, and say something else like Tumblr or something is a lot more visual, like pictures. Cargo is sort of in between those, where we are truly multimedia, whereas we put a lot of emphasis on the combination of text and image, where our interface is designed in a way where it's really easy to lay out your stuff, like control the typography, control where your images sit and how text flows around them. It's easy to drop in videos or even Java applets or whatever you want, Flash pieces, audio, doesn't really matter. And so, however, in order to do that and make it look good, you can't truly be WYSIWYG, because then you can only do so many things. And since we have designed this system for people like ourselves who really care about how their work is represented on the various media, but especially on browsers and on the internet, it takes a little bit of getting under the hood and to sort of start to know. For example, we have a built-in CSS editor and an HTML area where you can just drop in whatever you want. There's tons of display options and preferences, and you can switch templates and change designs and do whatever you want.
Does it, because the work you guys do is very visual and really shows off on a big monitor very well. Do you guys have tools that help you design for all the different size screens that people are going to view this stuff on? Because they're not all using a nice, gorgeous 24 or 30 inch monitor.
Right. No, most everything that we do, we want to make sure it looks good in any situation. And the people who use the software are generally, they care enough about it to make it look good. And as you said, there are certain things about WYSIWYG editing that restrict you very much in how it looks and how it's framed. Our system works very well, it's very easy to use, but at the same time it's also pretty pro, where you actually need to know a little bit of CSS, and you need to, if you really want to, control the way it looks, but that's how it should be. However, we've made it pretty inviting in the fact that it's a lot easier to do it with our system than any other.
Yeah. Tell me how visually it's laid out, because it almost looks like a grid, but your use of CSS tells me that you could probably push that grid around quite heavily.
Right. We sort of pioneered a certain layout technique for our original project Space Collective. A lot of people are using it now, but it's really not a grid. It works on many levels, and you can have various sizes of images and content, and they play around, and basically it wraps content around itself. With Space Collective, we had this gallery view that use large text, small text, large images, small images, and everything had specific guidelines, but depending on the size, it would recalculate using JavaScript, and it would relay everything out depending on the size of your browser.
Yeah.
So it will always look good, no matter what size.
That's a smart technique to lay it out around something central.
Plus, also like the float, like the float left, the CSS rule is like our biggest thing. Of course, like we just float everything left,
Right.
and so it becomes liquid instantly. As
Tell
long
me
as
about
you're-
what that, because people who don't know what CSS float left, what does that do on the screen?
Like when you position, Josh could better say this, but let me try it and see how it looks. So when you position an element on the screen, you can position it either in a fixed position or in an absolute position or in a number of other positions. But when you tell it to float left, it just if there's room to its left, it just goes there. And so if you give that positioning rule to every element on the screen, you can just, instead of, it's like gravity is on the left and just everything goes. It's like you turn the earth sort of like this and everything falls just to the left. And so we can show you on the screen how that looks. And so if the elements are the same height, then if one row fills up the screen and another column is added, it just drops to the next and just fills it up and so forth. And so we love floating things left.
We love that.
I love that. And I love how your stuff looks. Flipboard this year and the iPad has really put attention on design again, at least for normal people, because it's like, oh, that looks better than the stupid TweetDeck view, right? And well, I mean, it's the expectation of, has the iPad raised the expectation on design? So,
well, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we've always actually been there. That is the number one focus, and Space Collective was 6 years ago, and that was our first collaboration. And from the first moment of that project, that was always the goal. The goal was always to make it look as good as possible and to work as good as possible. There has to be a focus on design because everything else comes after that. But Folkert would be better for this question.
Yeah, no, but you said it exactly. Like we make no compromises. Like we have design skill and we have programming skill and we don't fuck around, and we really like design it in the best way possible and we don't compromise.
You're not using any Flash, right? This is all almost all your latest work is HTML, right?
I mean, we use Flash when it's appropriate. For example, like video players. Well, that's almost no longer appropriate because of all the Apple devices, which is whatever. We have to kind of work with that decision in a way. But
yeah, Blip just this week turned off its Flash player and went to HTML5 for its video player, and I'm noticing that trend.
So did Vimeo and YouTube
Vimeo
and like all those
too.
guys. Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna be clearly needing to go there. We're actually just launching a video platform, a network for conceptual film artists, and it's heavy on video as well. But we started that a few years ago too, and everything was fine on Flash. So we're gonna have to degrade into HTML soon enough. But anyway, so with Flash, like we always kind of felt like Flash was problematic because it's kind of closed, So, and I've always had that feeling when you're interacting with a Flash site, like you feel like you can look but not touch, And I want to drag images to my desktop, copy text, like put it here, or just right-click and see how it was built, and just move things around. And with Flash, it's like it's just sort of packaged like here, It's like an aquarium or something. Like
Flash sites always look like Flash sites, and the text always looks bad.
Yeah.
And there are, especially with what we're doing, there's no reason.
It's really hard to make Flash look good. Yeah, like the hours we spend to make a line not anti-aliased but aliased is just nuts. Like when you give it because Flash is half pixels, right, or something, or like sub-integer. What is it called?
It's 1/10 of a pixel you can move on Flash.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're never truly on a pixel line. So the lines are always a little fuzzy whenever you're zoomed out.
Yeah.
And that's problematic for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we are HTML.
Last week I was at LoWeb and interviewed Mitchell Baker, who's the chairperson of the Mozilla Foundation, and she showed me that the web has a future. You know, where
That's
I pulled
nice.
out, yeah, it's nice. You know, that I pulled out my iPad and said, hey, look at all these apps. You know, that's not the web. It's sort of back to the Flash thing, right? It's like Steve Jobs. We're all in Steve
Right.
Jobs' time.
Right.
What do you guys think of that? Do you think that the web is going to continue being the innovative place for designers, or are you going to be forced into learning Objective-C next year and into the app world?
Well, my personal feeling is that a lot of things are going to move to web-based technologies. First off, Objective-C and Python or whatever, there's crazy languages for these apps that you have to learn. And so many people already know web languages, and if HTML5 or whatever HTML5 can be that new app where you can actually write software in a language that's known by a lot of people. The reason the web has exploded and the reason that everything is great on the web is because a lot of people can do it really easily. It's accessible, there's a huge community around it, and it costs $0 to make a website.
Yeah.
So, and that's not something that is currently accessible to on iOS devices or Android or anything else. So I think that that's a major hurdle for innovation, for sure.
But it is scary, of course, because it is moving towards the app
Absolutely.
situation, and the large corporations are, you know, the weasels are closing in on to like incorporate the whole deal, and like so that is like, yeah, we are kind of eyeing that with some concern.
Yeah, I just toured the Louvre and looked at some of the beautiful paintings and design that was done hundreds of years ago. Those were done with chisels and stuff like that. And today, how much of your design work is informed by the programming?
Yeah, great
code?
question. I mean, that's it. That's the question, I think, because that is like artist engineers, right? Like Da Vinci or, you know, whoever. We're all very, I mean, today as well, like if you're a furniture designer, you better know a lot about, you know, wood grain and like ergonomic, how a chair is comfortable and all that. Anyway, but so for the web, I think it's just as important to, so yeah, I'm completely, you know, obsessed by technology because, you know, it runs the design, and Josh is more technology oriented, but also, you know, has to understand design, because you're not going to be able to implement it in a way that is fluid.
As a programmer, working with Folkert is kind of like a dream, because he knows more about CSS and layout abilities than most good CSS developers. So he's really knows the limitations. And I think that when you're designing for web or for anything, as a designer, you need to know the limitations that are there, because designing within limitations makes it better in general. Because if you know what is going to look best for this and the way that this text size Arial 13 renders at a line height of X, then you're going to be a lot more informed as a designer.
Yeah, you have to know the ins and outs in order to really do it exactly how you wanted it. You know?
Yeah. Talking about mixing design and technology, you guys, one of the reasons I want to talk to you was you're one of the first Rackspace managed cloud customers. What drove you to be an innovator on hosting?
Right.
And
right.
How does that fit into website design? You know, how does the hosting partner you choose fit into what you're doing on the top level?
Well, I think we're innovating on many levels, and this was a new technology, and it is more future. We were pushing for future.
Well, talk about scalability. You know,
sure. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
sorry. We needed to be able to move at a pace that is the pace of the web, and we needed to be able to scale quickly and rapidly. The way that our site works, we could at any moment be getting hundreds of thousands of hits because we host effectively so many websites that any one of those at any given time could be linked on Dig or Reddit or wherever, and that would drive our traffic in a way that we wouldn't be able to handle in a standard hardware solution. It's also afforded us the ability to really just tinker around with certain technologies. We can just spin up a server for a day and play with it and then drop it, and it costs us a few pennies. It's not going to cost, hundreds or thousands of dollars for the time. It's momentarily. We can have that up in 20 minutes.
Yeah. You're seeing the same stuff that other startups are seeing, that the traffic spikes are much steeper than they used to be 10 years ago, right? Flipboard said that their spike was just straight up when they came out. And if you get on Oprah or if you get Twittered, right, everybody's hitting retweet on something cool. If there's a cool game, retweet, and it goes to millions of people, and everybody's trying to click that link and come over and check you out.
Yeah.
How does that inform what you guys do? Do you think about using? Well, tell me how that scaling issue today is.
Well, there's a lot that went into the scaling and the decisions that we made for the technology and the hardware. We have all of our web application servers are different from the database server, and we now have caching servers. So there's a proxy and a wall between the data and the user. And that was the biggest step, was to separate those. And once we were able to do that, we were able to handle a lot more spiky traffic. As you said, the traffic seems to come all at the same time, and it always happens within a very short amount of time, and then it dies quickly. So it goes high real fast, and then it has a long gradual die. But you just have to hit that spike and make sure that you can handle that spike.
Yeah. Take me through some of the things you've done, some of the projects you've done. What are they, and what are you proud of?
All right. Well, so Space Collective came out of the idea of creating an online meeting place for people who were interested in things about where the world is going in terms of technology and the population and space travel, mind expansion, the 60s fueled boom that sort of like seems to be culminating into the internet, and how that all is working, and let's talk about it. And so this is how Josh and I basically started first collaborating. Like we did this, our friend René Dahler, he's a Dutch filmmaker. He started this project, and then sort of we met, and then we found Josh, and then we built this project over a period of a few years. And we wanted to make a way for the members of the site just to converse in a very fluid way, and using media as words, basically. And so try and make the interface in a way that it doesn't hamper communication, or of course it always does, but like in the least possible way. So we were looking at a lot of out-of-the-box solutions, and decided that we could do it better. And so we built our own publishing system that used our own ideas of like how you upload images, how do you preview stuff, how do you lay things out, what does typography do, and all that stuff. And so that became kind of the foundation for how we approached cargo, because we really optimized how this system worked, and then we thought of why aren't we modularizing this so that lots of people can use this for their own purposes.
What makes it look so good? I mean, it's stunning when you're going through the pages. What is it about the design there that makes it look different from a WordPress blog?
LOVE.
LOVE.
We say the content is the cargo, so the content of the people's work is what makes it look so good. We've developed a really great many templates and designs that are a great base, and all of those out of the box look fantastic. But as you personalize it for your own site, you're going to hopefully take pride in the way your work is presented and the way that you want your site to look. And people have really picked up on that, and actually a lot of cargo looks great because people care about it.
Yeah.
Well said, yeah, exactly.
If I'm a designer, I'm not a designer, so I'm not going to be messing up your site. But if I was an architect or a painter or a photographer, somebody who cares about visual design, how do I use your site? Do I just where do I pay for it? Is it free? What, you know? It sounds like a lot of designers are on it.
Yeah, you can. Currently, we're by invite only, just because we're still.
Because you want to keep the riffraff like me off of it.
That's one reason only. Yeah. Well, partly because, of course, the scaling thing that we're talking about is of massive concern to us, and it needs to be zippy and fast and always around. But also, we are trying to create an environment that is really respectful to people's work, and we have a lot of our friends are artists and filmmakers and designers, and we really love their work, and we're making an environment for them to, you know, post that, so to present it to the rest of the world. And so to grow that really slowly is in our opinion the only way to continue having that sort of respectful environment and a really well period.
Yeah. Tell me about one of the projects you're working on lately, because that was a project you worked on a year ago or so. What have you been doing lately, and where can we see your work elsewhere on the web?
We are very close to a launch of another project called Instant Cinema. Working with the Dutch Film Museum, we're putting online hundreds of hours and hundreds of films, of art films, gravity-based art, and it will, for the first time ever, be available on the web. So it's basically an artistic video community where Cargo is a design-based social community. We're now moving, or we'll be launching this in the coming months.
Yeah. Does hosting video have different design or architectural concerns compared to hosting GIFs and JPEGs?
Well, we're using Rackspace cloud files, CDN, to host both the graphic images as well as the video. And the videos can stream and do everything from that environment. It's working out just great so far.
Okay.
But we will see once the site gets used heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video part is like
Yeah.
a big subject, because we haven't gone to wrap our heads around what it would mean if, you know, we serve thousands of video streams a day, and what that would mean financially, infrastructure-wise, and so forth.
Yeah.
So if you got any tips, we'll take them.
We're on YouTube.
There you go. Thanks. Yeah.
Partly because the players work everywhere, and
It's true.
and it's
Yeah.
free.
Good
you
point.
know,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And we didn't need to worry about advertising and
Yeah.
monetizing with advertising. That drives a lot of people off of YouTube and into, you know, Blip or
Yeah,
Vidler
yeah.
or whatever.
Also, part of Cargo's appeal is also that for artists, it's really easy to completely disassociate themselves from the publishing platform.
Yeah.
So that's one of our main factors that has made us a choice for a lot of big name artists and designers, I think, because what happens is that you can run your site and you can customize it so far that that it just looks exactly how you want it to look, and it doesn't look like any other site, basically. And once you're logged in, it opens up sort of a whole below the surface area that you're connected to a lot of other colleagues or other artists and designers, in the same way that you can follow people on Twitter or on Tumblr. On Cargo, it's basically the same. You follow someone, and then when you're logged in and you go to the Cargo homepage, you get a feed of all the recent work that has been posted, you know, since you last visited that feed. And so yeah, on the one hand, it's a completely your own public-facing site that's branded exactly how you want it, while it is supported by this infrastructure that's all linked, and by all the other people who use Cargo, you know, which includes a very lively development forum where people you know, ask questions, exchange tips, and like, how do I float something left, for example, and stuff like that. So,
what are you proudest of? What's the code you would show another programmer?
We've made good use of a lot of back-end sort of softwares. We're utilizing a program called Gearman very heavily and well to interface with the CDN. the up and down stream is really slow to the CDN, and we needed to be fast and immediate. So when you upload that image, it's already there, and we've got this pretty fancy way of kind of sleight of hand giving you, we serve you the image before it's actually even processed, and then we put it up, and then we serve you a replication of that image later.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I like that. And then the other is our Space Collective-like designs are pretty impressive.
Very cool. Where can we find you guys on the web?
cargocollective.com is the homepage, and from there you can start clicking around to visit the featured websites, which is a feed of all the sites that we found interesting. And from there you can click on the following links of these people and see who they are following, and before you know it, you'll get lost in a maze of cargo awesomeness.
Very cool. Are you guys on Twitter or Facebook?
Yes, we have a Cargo Twitter. It's @Cargo Collective.
Okay.
We do not have a Facebook account.
Yeah. And are you guys personally on Twitter?
Personally, yes. I am @TechLocust, TEKLOCUST.
Okay.
Nice. I'm Folkert Gorter, and you'll know how to spell that by just listening to that, don't you?
We'll spell it out
Okay,
for
thanks.
people. Thank you so much.
Okay,
It's been
thank
really
you.
great.
Yeah,
Thanks a
okay.
lot.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, very.